The Cameroon government is just not being proactive in addressing this problem.
And will you be meeting with President Biya?
I certainly hope so. We have asked that. Of course, it's up to the Cameroon government as to who I meet with.
And will you be asking for the release of Maurice Kamto, the presidential candidate?
I will. I will. I think that would be a very positive gesture. There are a number of I think gestures the Cameroon government could do immediately, which would start to diffuse the problem, but at the end of the day, it's going to require dialogue, open dialogue, no conditions dialogue, to get to the heart of the problems.
U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Tibor Nagy, many thanks for joining us here in the France 24.
Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for being with us.
Training nonviolent conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that
our the president in 2019.
Human rights.
Wow. At the time, the way the election that I observed back in 1991 went, the possibility was certainly there.
But we still have partnerships.
He has been in charge of Cameroon, I think, longer now than I believe any other serving African head of state. Maybe Obiang, but I think definitely there. The problem is, with such long service, so many fundamental problems have gone unaddressed, and we see this now in the northwest, southwest, or what some people call the Anglophone region of Cameroon. In addition, Cameroon has two very serious problems. One is in the north with Boko Haram, ISIS, West Africa. And in that part of it, we are working very closely with the Cameroonians as allies to address the problem of terrorism. The more fundamental problem, and in my view, the more existential problem for Cameroon is what's going on in the Anglophone region. The government has been totally, in my view, ineffective in addressing that. Some of their actions have actually worsened what is going on there. There's been just a mounting cycle of violence from both sides. The radicals in the northwest, the ones who call themselves the Ambo boys, and then the security forces. We've had horrendous loss of life, casualties. I think October, November, December of last year were the three highest. Now it's somewhat decreased. The great majority of the casualties are those on the Anglophone side. The Cameroon government is just not being proactive in addressing this problem.
And will you be meeting with President Biya?
I certainly hope so. We have asked that. Of course, it's up to the Cameroon government as to who I meet with.
And will you be asking for the release of Maurice Kamto, the presidential candidate?
I will. I will. I think that would be a very positive gesture. There are a number of I think gestures the Cameroon government could do immediately, which would start to diffuse the problem, but at the end of the day, it's going to require dialogue, open dialogue, no conditions dialogue, to get to the heart of the problems.
U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Tibor Nagy, many thanks for joining us here in the France 24.
Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for being with us.
Investigated and appropriate action any of those.
He'll be the president in 2019.
Wow. At the time, the way the election that I observed back in 1991 went, the possibility was certainly there. He has been in charge of Cameroon, I think, longer now than I believe any other serving African head of state. Maybe Obiang.
I'm live.
He'll be the president in 2019.
I'd really refer to you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. They are, for example, allegations that they are killing people.
Hello, greetings.
How do you feel when you support
the
military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations, anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training
I'm also
training
live on my Facebook and on my YouTube. So either way, you should be able to get me live. And I want to thank my viewers in and
I'd
around
really
the
refer
world
you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak
Here
for
again, my
the
name is
response of the U.S. government in
here
his
from the
country.
great state of Texas.
We still
in the
have
United
partnerships
States.
with the Cameroonian military that have been
I
very
want to
effective.
thank all of
They've
you
been
that are
very good
tuned in,
partners.
those here in the United
We will
States, those
continue
in
those
Ground
relationships
Zero,
for some time.
those in
Also committing human rights
UK,
abuses. They
those,
are, for example,
in
allegations
Europe,
that they are killing
South
people
America,
in Anglophone
and I also
region.
give my sincere thanks
how
to
do
the
you
former
feel when
Ghanaian president who
you
delivered
support
keynote
the
messages
military
to South
that
Korea.
commit such
So many
crimes?
more of these
Well,
messages
we certainly
will
take
continue
very seriously
dealing
any
with
allegations of
it.
human rights
Here
violations
again,
by any
thank
of
all
our
of
partner
you for
militaries
tuning in.
or
Here again,
security forces.
I
And we expect
am
those
very,
allegations
very
to be investigated
deep,
and appropriate
disappointed.
action
But
to be
however,
taken
we're
against
going to look at
any
what
of
make
those
up the
who
news
conduct
today
human rights violations.
and more.
We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations, anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer to you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country.
So,
but we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective.
So,
they've been very good partners, and we will continue those
that is the
relationships
top
for
U.S.
some time.
general.
They are also
That's one of the
committing
top
human
U.S.
rights
generals.
abuses. They are,
So we will listen
for
to
example,
what the general
allegations that they are
said.
killing people in Anglophone region.
And
How do you feel
and what make
when
up news in Southern Cameroon?
you support
We look at the massacre
military
that is happening
that
in
commit such
Womb, in Menchim
crimes?
division, in Menchim,
Well, we
in
certainly
Southern Cameroon
take
territory.
very seriously any
And those
allegations
who
of
were
human rights
massacred,
violations by any of
and
our
whether
partner
East
militaries
Lac
or
will be taking
security
opportunity
forces. And we
for the
expect
United
those
States endorsement
allegations
to
to be
carry on
investigated
massacre in Southern
and
Cameroon.
appropriate action
And
to be
obviously,
taken against
one question
any of
is,
those
why
who
can the
conduct
people
human
of
rights
Southern
violations.
Cameroon be left
We,
alone?
as a military activity, ensure that the
more
forces
of
that we
these
work with,
questions
first of all,
ahead
have
of
no
this
credible
today's
accusations
What
of human
Making
rights
Sense.
violations as a
And
matter
this
of
is
U.S. law.
Daniel,
And
will be,
when we
I'm
do
speaking here
train
from the great
with
state of Texas.
partner
Before we
nations,
dive into that,
anywhere
let's
in
listen
Africa
to
or
the
anywhere
top
else in the
U.S.
world,
general.
we conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer to you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. They are, for example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region. How do you feel when
Well, we certainly
you support
very seriously
the military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces, and we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer to you, the ambassador to Cameroon, to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. They are, for example, allegations that they are killing people.
That was the top U.S. general in response to a question that was asked. Then let's move and see exactly what
the military,
United States trained the people of South, like the military of the neighboring country, La Republic of Cameroon. You all listen from the voice of the top U.S. general speaking about United States policy towards any nations that engage in any human rights abuse and violation. So we will going to look at some of the images, whether it's in line with the United States policy. And this is
of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law.
Let's take some of the images, but we'll look at some what make up
partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world. We conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights.
That was the U.S. Undersecretary for African Affairs. Let's listen
to that I observed back in 1991 when the possibility was certainly there.
We still have partnerships with
he has been in charge of Cameroon, I think, longer now than I believe any other serving African head of state. Maybe it'll be on, but I think definitely there. The problem is, with such long service,
for example, allegations that they are killing people in the Northwest region.
We see this now in the Northwest, Southwest, or what some people call the Anglophone region, Cameroon. In addition, Cameroon has two very serious problems. One is in the north,
we certainly
take West Africa.
Very seriously
and in that part of it, we are working very closely with the Cameroonians as allies to address the problem of terrorism. The more fundamental problem, in my view, the more existential problem for Cameroon is what's going on in the Anglophone regions. The government has been totally, in my view, ineffective in addressing that. Some of their actions have actually worsened what is going on there. There's been just a mounting cycle of violence from both sides. The radicals in the Northwest, the ones who call themselves the Ambo Boys, and then the security forces. We've had horrendous loss of life, casualties, I think October, November, December of last year were the three highest. Now it's somewhat decreased, the great majority of the casualties.
I'd really refer you to the ambassador to
on the Anglophone side.
Response of the U.S.
The Cameroon government is just not being
we still
proactive in
have
addressing this
partnerships
problem.
with the Cameroonian military.
I certainly hope so.
Very
we have asked that. Of course, it's up to the Cameroonian government as to who I meet with.
We will
and will you be
continue
asking
those
for the release
relationships
of Maurice
for some
Kamto, the
also
presidential
committing
candidate?
human rights abuses.
I will. I think
For example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region.
I think there are gestures the Cameroon government could do immediately, which would start to diffuse the problem, but at the end of the day, it's going to require dialogue,
well, we
open
certainly
dialogue,
take
no
very
conditions
seriously any
dialogue,
allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights.
Look at some of the key documents
of course,
and what make up another problem is let's look.
I'd really refer to you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the
response of the
U.S. government in his country. But we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military.
Some of the images are disturbing. Some of the images are disturbing for viewers.
Continue those relationships for some time.
Especially in womb mentioned divisions. Especially in womb mentioned divisions. 4 persons were shot dead. 4 persons were shot dead.
The military that commit
when they attempt, their homes were initially set on fire in
very seriously any allegations.
Their homes were set on fire by the terrorist military of La Republic du Cameroon.
And we expect
when their homes were set ablaze, they escaped out of their homes.
To be taken against
and the military of La Republic du Cameroon shot those escaping from a burning home that was set up by La Republic du Cameroon.
Have no credible
and those individuals attempt to escape.
US law.
But unfortunately, La Republic military shot them dead and
or anywhere else in the world,
sent the body into ablaze homes, and the body were burnt alive. And that is why make up the news for today. And that is the most devastating period in Southern Cameroon territory, where you can believe that the military, that United States claims that they have evaluated that they're up to the standard of the international community.
Very good partners.
And when I see this behavior of a military that's supposedly trained by the United States government, I am sure it's shock not only to me, but the rest of the world community. Because if you believe a military that were trained by the United States government, and they behave in these
crimes,
horrific attitude towards citizens of the Southern Cameroon.
By any of our partners,
and that is the most painful feeling that one can ever envisage.
Allegations to be investigated.
That is a human body. That's a human body that was burnt alive. That's a human body. As you may not be able to see the images clearly, but that is a human body that was burnt alive and that were being shot by La Republic military.
As a matter of U.S. law.
Let's look at some of the images.
Train with partner nations anywhere.
These are homes
or anywhere else in the world.
In womb,
conduct
in mentioned division. This is another body that is burnt. That's to tell you how graphic La Republic terrorists. If one can talk about the Boko Haram in the north, they have never been very
in his country. But we still have partnerships
behavior by the Boko Haram towards people than the worst behavior of the Republic of Cameroon military towards the citizens of Southern Cameroon.
They are also committing a human rights abuse.
This is another example.
For example, allegations
human body burnt alive in region. Let's look at more. What make up?
How do you feel when you support
the military? This is another body burnt alive.
Crimes.
Well, we certainly
that's another body burnt alive in
any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security
This
forces.
Is another similar body again. That's to tell you the cops that they shot and burned them alive.
Any of those who conduct
human
rights violations. We, as a military,
I'm sure those are
ensure that
more of the images that make up
have no credible
the bad behavior of La Republic terrorist military towards the citizens of Southern Cameroon. Remember, the people of Southern Cameroon was never a conquered territory of La Republic du Cameroon, or was there a colonial territory of La Republic du Cameroon.
Matter of course.
The people simply came together in a friendly relationship. What I call a cohabiting relationship. There is no legal document that binds La Republic with the people of Southern Cameroon. There is no legal document that binds them together. It was simply a cohabiting relationship. And it has turned out that the people of Southern Cameroon is paying the price for his citizens, for his sons, for his daughters, and for his grandmothers that have been continually perpetrated by the terrorist government of La Republic of Cameroon in Southern Cameroon territory.
The military.
How do we get to this mess because the British government, brought us into this mess. The British government brought the people of Southern Cameroon into this mess because they inadvertently, the document that initially for the people of Southern Cameroon to be left alone, but were forced into this mess that our brothers and sisters, mothers, young children, be burnt alive. Let's look at some of the font of K-O-O-H in Bui village.
Anywhere in
and the 3 persons that were burnt alive include Fong Gilbert.
Training in the law of armed
Fong Gilbert, that was shot by the Republic military. Fong Gilbert was an engine saw operator, which means he uses an engine saw as a means to make his ends to feed his family.
Of the U.S. government in his country. But, we still
for those who understand what is engine saw, the machine they use to cut wood, that is what he used as a means to make a living in his family. But he was shot dead by the neighboring country, the Republic military, that are currently invading Southern Cameroon territory.
Killing people in Anglophone region.
Let's look at Ewing Ngong of Thomas.
You support the military.
Ewing Ngong Thomas was another victim that was slaughtered by the Republic military to Cameroon.
Any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or
let's look Fong Patrick, popularly known as Paddy,
to be investigated and appropriate
including the son KB Peter. They were shot by the Republic military.
We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces
Fong Kennedy,
first of all,
AKA,
accusations of human
popularly known as AKA, was a business community
when we do train
that was shot by the Republic military. This just giving you on and on list of names that were shot by the Republic military, currently invading Southern Cameroon territory.
And ensure that our partners
remember that we have a similar relationship. We have similar cohabiting relationship with Nigeria.
Response of the U.S.
And when we left Nigeria, Enugu House of Assembly,
we still have partnerships.
There was no gunshot. There was no gunfire. There was no damaging.
They've been very good
Our
partners.
people choose to live unanimously.
Continue those relationships for some time.
And today,
human rights
we are experiencing the worst nightmare
that they are killing people
in our nation's history, the Southern Cameroon territory.
How do you feel when you support the military?
Let's look at some of
such
other images.
Crimes.
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces, and we expect those allegations.
These are atrocities that is going on,
and appropriate action.
Those are continual atrocities
against any of those who conduct human
those
rights
are citizens of Southern Cameroon. They struggle without the help of their government that they claim to be the government of Southern Cameroon, the government of La Republique, that they claim to be providing assistance to the people of Southern Cameroon. But the citizens cannot in any circumstances claim that they have to provide any necessary assistance. Let's look.
Human rights training and training in law.
Those are citizens of Southern Cameroon. Mothers, children.
Sure that our partner forces.
This is a young, vibrant guy, a young, vibrant child that has the potential for his parents.
Cameroonian military that have been very effective.
That's a young, vibrant,
very good partners.
But was cut short by the military of La Republique that are currently invading Southern Cameroon territory.
Human rights abuses. There are, for example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region.
You can see those images that are horrifying.
You support the military that commits.
You can see those images that are horrifying.
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces.
This is what makes up news in Southern Cameroon each day when you open and listen to what is happening.
To be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations, anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't
Those
conduct
are
human rights
citizens of Southern Cameroon.
I'd really refer you to the ambassador.
This is what makes up news in Southern Cameroon as we speak.
In his country.
So each day, each morning, that is what you see, images coming from Southern Cameroon territory.
They've been very good
Continue
partners,
massacre.
and we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. They are,
as you can see,
for example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region. How do you feel when
this is what makes
you
news
support
in Southern Cameroon?
The military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces, and we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in the law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners. And
if the world was just, if the world is a place where one understands that
example,
we respect
people
the rule of law
region,
and that no one has the upper hand to respect
the military
unfortunately,
that commit
this is a legal document. Well, this is a legal document that specifies the people of Southern Cameroon as a distinctive sovereign nation. That is a legal document.
And we expect those allegations to be investigated.
Why can't the international community refer to their own document specifically on their keeping?
We, as a military activity,
why must the people of Southern Cameroon
have no
this is the obvious question that we ask each day, and no one has come out with a clear answer.
Human rights training.
This is the document. That is the same body that voted in 1960 to recognize the nation that is massacring our citizens, our daughters, our mothers, burn them alive. It's not just one instance, it's a daily routine. It's a daily routine, massacre and burning sons and daughters of Southern Cameroon.
We will continue those relationships.
They all have the same document that the people of Southern Cameroon do.
For example,
the same office
that they are
voted,
killing people
and yet no one pay attention. No one cared to talk about it. No one cared. So long as those who make laws, those who stand as the superpower of this planet.
Well, we certainly take very seriously
so long as their personal interest is more concerned rather than the interest of any others. And that is why the atrocity continue in Southern Cameroon. Just imagine one European nation. Just imagine that the massacre occurred in Europe. Of course, the United Nations session would have been called right away. Just imagine it was a bomb blast in United Nations in Europe.
And when we
of course, a General Assembly would have been called 24 hours and debate what needs to be done right away. But when it comes to Africa, because they are voiceless, no one cares what happens to them. No one none of their priorities is not. I mean, how does it matter to them?
I'd really refer you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S.
Even though there is a legal document specifying that the people of Southern Cameroon is a sovereign, distinctive nation, and that they can decide the future of their destiny. But unfortunately, that is a document. That is a legal document that specifies the nations. And the United States is one of those nations that voted at the United Nations General Assembly.
you support the
How can people be so adamantly biased when it comes to a specific indigenous nation?
Very seriously,
but unfortunately, that is the order of the day.
Any of our partner militaries or
and the murder and massacre continue.
Allegations to be investigated.
La Republic got their own independence. Why must the people of Southern Cameroon can't govern themselves? Why can't they remain alone? Why can't they be governed themselves? Why must they be at the mercy of other nations?
Accusations of human rights violations.
That is the problems that Africa is facing.
When we do,
unfortunately, one will expect the Africa, because they are just
in Africa or anywhere else in the world,
African nations. One will expect our other African nations to step up and say, no, we stand denounced this. No single president of African descent has even opened their coin, their mouth, to speak up.
Of the U.S. government in his
just imagine how many nations make up Africa. No single has even opened a voice, except one ex-president, J.J. Rawlings, in Ghana.
For some time.
No single president of African descent has even voiced, opened a mouth, and even leaked a concern that what is happening in Southern Cameroon territory is horrifying, and that we need to stand and speak up. No single president in Africa has opened a voice.
Well, we certainly
no single president
very seriously
has even stand and opened a voice and even addressed that atrocity, because they are part of the atrocity in Africa.
Allegations to be investigated.
Why we are asking the United States government to come for rescue? But what about the African dictatorship, African president? No single African president has even opened their mouth and even said, oh,
of human rights violations,
what is happening in our own neighboring country?
When we do train with
no single president,
no
single president on the sick has opened a concern, voice the entire nation of Africa. That is a pathetic.
Our partner forces.
That is absolutely pathetic. No single
I really
president.
refer you to the ambassador to Cameroon.
No single president
for the response of the U.S. government in his country.
No single president
but, we still
has
have
voiced a concern
with
that what is happening
in the military that
is
have been very effective,
deeply devastating. But all has remained silent. All we have been having conferences. All have been debating. No one has even mentioned that what is happening in the Anglophone speaking, a live seated president in Africa has opened a mouth and speak up and said, what is happening in Southern Cameroon? Why will other nations defend Africa that one person
against any of those
J.J. Rawlings,
human rights violations,
who is able, even though he doesn't have any power,
activity
he has no voice, he has no power,
first of all,
but he's able to attend conferences and voice what is going on. Even his own president, his own president in Ghana cannot in any circumstances open his mouth and say, oh, what is going on there is the concern of Africa. But unfortunately, all of them, all of them, no one dare open their mouth.
I'd really refer to you to the ambassador of Cameroon to speak for the Cameroon.
And that is why they are so fearful to open their voice. They are so fearful to talk about it. Because France has trained Africa to be very fearful. France has trained Africa to be very fearful. And that is why Ivory Coast, when Ivory Coast opened their mouth, 24 hours, France military began bombarding Ivory Coast.
Take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations
Africa
by any of our partner
has
militaries
instilled
or
fearfulness towards Africa, and that no one can even open his voice to speak up, because France has instilled fearness. And that is why the atrocity that is going on in Southern Cameroon, African nations cannot even a single president open his mouth and speak up. That I don't expect this
as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct.
I support
human rights training and
Southern Cameroon,
conflict,
fellow brothers and sisters, whether you see it as a miniature, but I see it that we cannot continue to remain slavery of La Republic. We cannot continue to remain a slavery of a La Republic. And that is why a currency that will debunk us and separate us from La Republic, because once we continue to use the CFA, we are a liability and slavery of La Republic to Cameroon. Once we continue embracing, I don't care whether it is generally accepted as a legal tender in any other nations, but if the people of Southern Cameroon is able to accept a medium of exchange, that goods and services, plantain can be exchanged for cocoyam in Southern Cameroon, in Ambazonian currency, I will be for that. That is freedom began when we cut the link of La Republic CFA that could glue us with the neighboring country La Republic to Cameroon.
Human rights violations.
What is gluing us with La Republic is the CFA that we are continuing using as a legal means of exchange. Because once we cut that link and have our own legal tender, it doesn't matter whether the international community accepts it or not. But so long as our people has accepted, if any nation that needs timber and we want to use timber will obviously accept it as a means of exchange.
I'd really refer to
as a means of exchange. It's time we look inward. What is gluing us with La Republic? Because so long as we continue having the CFA as a legal tender, then we are a slave of La Republic.
And we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing.
We need to look outward. We need to look outward. What makes us glued to La Republic is the CFA. Because once we begin to have the CFA glue us with La Republic, they have every avenue to claim that they owe us. But when we start looking for other means, a new leadership that starts look outward, what is gluing us with La Republic? The CFA. It doesn't matter whether the international community accepts it or not. But so long as we accept it and we believe that it makes a difference between us, then we can move forward and others will follow. That is the spirit that we must stand together. That is the spirit that we must unslave ourselves. We must break the chain that glue us with La Republic. That is the beginning of freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon. The beginning of freedom is when we start break the chain that link us. The chemical bonding. We start looking for the chemical that we can break those bonds that link us with La Republic. Because that is the spirit of freedom that the people of Southern Cameroon can now start to embrace and look upon freedom.
But we still have partnerships.
Because so long as we use the CFA, that is the bond between us and La Republic. And that is why they see it more as we are glued to them than we as a free nation.
Human rights abuses. There are, for example, allegations that they are killing people.
Ambazonian currency is something that is of a top priority.
You support
Southern Cameroon currency, Southern Cameroon passport. The document that keeps Southern Cameroon away from La Republic, that we are not dependent on La Republic. I remember one citizen of Southern Cameroon, probably in Kenya.
And we expect those allegations to be investigated.
Give me his impression that I have been looking for a passport. My passport has expired. I can't get out of Kenya. And I can't even travel because they wouldn't even allow me
have no credible accusations
to even renew my passport because I am with a citizen of Southern Cameroon. This is a citizen speaking of Southern Cameroon that is stranded because his passport cannot be renewed. So, but Southern Cameroon government or Southern Cameroon Ambazonian government is a government that focuses more on its citizens and ensure that whenever they are, they will recognize and have their voice heard, and that they shall stand for free and free indeed.
We still have partnerships with the Cameroon military that have been very effective.
La Republic CFA that glue us is the continual enslavement. Because France believes that we can't leave if we live out of CFA. No, we can survive survive.
That they are killing
we can survive.
For the region.
Even the days of trade by barter, the people of slavery, that they are able to survive. And so the people of South Africa can survive outside CFA.
Well,
and so therefore, that is why I am asking the people of South Cameroon, that is the time we're now thinking about a new currency. We have a currency, we now need to implement policy that will institute a currency of Southern Cameroon. We need to move beyond foreign nation speculations. We need to move beyond foreign nation speculations.
The forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights.
We don't need to have them accept our currency.
And when we do,
but when they need the product made out of Southern Cameroon, they will rush to need our currency and the medium how the product can be exchanged. If you're going to need timber from Southern Cameroon, then you're going to need the currency of Ambazonian to be used.
Don't conduct human rights violations.
If you're going to need arrow, for those who eat arrow, if you're going to need arrow that comes from Southern Cameroon, then you obviously going to need Southern Cameroon currency to use. We don't need Land Republic to implement how we're going to move forward. But so long as we have the CFA that glue us together, then we are not going nowhere. But if we start to break those bonds that link us with Land Republic, then that is the beginning of enslave ourselves.
How do you feel when you support
that is the
military
to enslave ourselves, free us from enslavement?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries.
Some people put argument forward. Some school of thought
allegations to be investigated.
Argue about how can the people of Southern Cameroon control the currency, whether and they are not physically in the land.
Well, as a military activity,
it's the grandmother that is when you travel to Kumba, when you travel to Gwenga Market, if for those of you who understand what is Gwenga Market, if you travel to Gwenga Market
anywhere in Africa
and you buy crayfish, it doesn't need
human rights.
The amount of CFA to be guaranteed how much quantity of crayfish to be exchanged for plantain. It requires an understanding between those having the crayfish and those having a bunch of plantains. And that it is an understanding between two of them to agree the quantity to be exchanged. So if the people of Southern Cameroon choose the Ambazonian currency, and it is up to them whether they are in the forest, they don't need a central bank to tell them how much to exchange. So long as they agree on the unit of exchange to be exchanged, then they can move forward irrespective of international recognition. Because international recognition only came in after the progress has been made.
Any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated. And
La Republique is proud because they can glue us together.
Any of those.
La Republique is proud because they can glue us together. They can glue us together in their CFA. But when we start breaking the bond, breaking the chain that glue us together, and starting to utilize our own currency. When our people start denouncing the CFA and have their own exchange, because I don't see anything that I would need from La Republique that I would need their CFA. I don't see anything that I would need from La Republique. Because when we cut the supply of plantain to La Republique, they will need Ambazonian currency because they don't have plantain. When we cut the supply of egusi to La Republique, they will need Ambazonian currency because they don't have nowhere to supply egusi.
Very good partners, and we will continue those.
When we cut the supply of timber, La Republique will need Ambazonian currency because they don't have.
For example, allegations.
When we cut the supply of oil, they will need Ambazonian currency because they don't have oil. And so this is the moment that we can start breaking the bond that links us with La Republique and start freezing ourselves from enslavement.
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action
Fellow brothers
to
and
be taken
sisters,
against any
we are
of
at
those
war.
who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations
that we need to start look inward.
And when we do train
move beyond
with
the
partner nations,
how can we move
Africa
beyond
or
the
anywhere else in the world, we
can do this.
Human rights training
That is the beginning
and
of
training
freeing
law
ourselves from
conflict as
enslavement
a
of the neighboring
matter
country
of
like
course,
Republic of
and
Cameroon.
ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer to you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But, you know, we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners. And we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. There are, for example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region. How do you feel when you support the military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But, you know, we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue.
That is the top U.S. general.
For some time.
Speaking about
human rights abuses, there are
fellow
for example,
brothers and
allegations
sisters.
that they are killing people in Anglophone region.
We are at
how do you feel when you support the military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our partner forces don't conduct human rights violations. I'd really refer you to the ambassador to Cameroon to speak for the response of the U.S. government in his country. But, you know, we still have partnerships with the Cameroonian military that have been very effective. They've been very good partners, and we will continue those relationships for some time.
They are also committing human rights abuses. There are, for example, allegations that they are killing people in Anglophone region. How do you feel when you support the military that commit such crimes?
Well, we certainly take very seriously any allegations of human rights violations by any of our partner militaries or security forces. And we expect those allegations to be investigated and appropriate action to be taken against any of those who conduct human rights violations. We, as a military activity, ensure that the forces that we work with, first of all, have no credible accusations of human rights violations as a matter of U.S. law. And when we do train with partner nations anywhere in Africa or anywhere else in the world, we conduct human rights training and training in law of armed conflict as a matter of course, and ensure that our